Hello, crafty friends. Happy Friday. Welcome to Flosstube. This is number 60, 68. I had to cheat and look at my notes. It's Friday, January 14th, and yeah, we're here for Flosstube. How are you all? It feels like it's been 3 weeks. It's only been 1 week. It's been a decent week. It's been a pretty decent week. Probably the biggest news on my end of things is that I started streaming on Twitch this week. I've gotten a little bit hyper focused. If I'm being honest. But I've been having a lot of fun. So if you already follow Rachel Ray and Michelle Bendy, or Michelle of Bendy Stitchy, then you're familiar with crafters streaming on Twitch instead of using YouTube Live. And I finally decided to just go ahead and jump in both feet first this past weekend because I had gotten some words of encouragement from various folks, and it's been a long time since I did a YouTube live, mostly because YouTube makes it complicated and somewhat difficult, whereas Twitch is just like 3 or 4 steps and you're in, man. It's just it's super easy. So for those who are not familiar with Twitch, has been traditionally, and I don't know how long, but traditionally for gamers to stream video games that they're playing. There's a lot of different platforms that are set up so that you can stream very easily directly from your platform to the internet, and people can watch and you can chat with them while you're playing your games. But a lot more crafters are starting to use Twitch to like hang out and chat while they're crafting on things. And now I'm one of them. So I'm mislaidpages over there on Twitch as well. I'll make sure that there's a link in the description because I'm planning on making this a regular thing. So if you've been missing the YouTube lives, I encourage you to check out Twitch if you haven't already, because I'm planning on, I shouldn't say planning, I'm intending on making this a fairly regular thing. I don't know ultimately how many days a week I will do it. I may end up settling on 2 to 3 days. Currently, I'm planning lunchtime lives. So basically, since I'm working from home during lunch, I'm going to go live on Twitch during my lunch breaks on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's the current plan. And then I'll probably also do a live on Sundays. That's a convenient day for me to do. Unfortunately, I just realized that my comfortable time on Sunday is the same time that I'm doing lunchtime lives during the week. So I do want to switch it up a little bit just for folks who are in the West Coast and who are in places like Australia, where the time zone is very, very different from mine. Because generally speaking, I've been going live at noon Eastern, which works really well for the European folks. They're mostly getting off of work as I'm going live. And then a bunch of folks on the East Coast and stuff are checking in during their lunch breaks and things, which is awesome. But I know folks in Australia, or actually somebody said 4 p.m. was 8 a.m. the next day. It was like a 16-hour difference. So depending on where you are in Australia, it could be a really awful time for you. But so I will probably try to do at least one lunchtime live during the week, an evening live during the week, to catch the folks who are coming off of work in the West Coast and that kind of stuff, and then probably a Sunday noon live as well, just because that works really well for me. So that's the idea moving forward. We'll see. We'll see if I can keep it up. So far, it doesn't feel like a huge burden, which is nice. It just feels like getting myself to do some crafty things and chatting while I'm doing the crafty things, and it's been really, really fun. So if you haven't, and I know a bunch of you have already, if you haven't already checked me out on Twitch, please do. I'm this close to getting to be able to apply for affiliate, which means that I will get all kinds of extra stuff that I can do on my channel, including customized emotes for my subscribers, the ability to have subscribers who will get customized emotes, and channel points, which you can spend to do whatever I decide is available to do. But if you're familiar with Rachel and Michelle's Twitches, this could be stuff like telling me to hydrate, making sure that I'm drinking, giving the cats treats, giving random interesting facts about something. So there will be things that you can turn in points for, and it's just super fun. And there's sound alerts, and it's a great time, y'all. If you haven't checked out Twitch, you totally should. So yeah, that's the biggest news this week. What I had other news. Trying to think. Oh, let me show. On a recent Twitch stream, I think it was in Rachel's, I talked about these books that I had when I was a kid. I called them the Serendipity books. At the time, they were published by a book company, by a book publisher called Serendipity. They have Serendipity, I think, has since gone out of business, but the Serendipity books by Stephen Cosgrove have been reprinted by another publisher now. And I was very excited to find this out because the Serendipity books were a whole bunch of books about sometimes like small woodland creatures, sometimes fantastical creatures, but each book is about a different animal or different creature, and the book is named after the creature who stars in that book. And so there's Serendipity, it actually is one of the creatures, like a Loch Ness monster kind of creature. There's bunnies, there's horses, there's unicorns, there's pegasi, there's a dragon named Persnickety. So these books were a huge part of my growing up, and I loved them so much because the art was fantastic. And they were originally published in like the late 70s, early 80s. There were 70 something books, and I think I had collected all of them when I was a kid. But I have since, I'm pretty certain I have lost them since. I think they accidentally got left in a house when I moved out. So, or I should say in my family home when we all moved out. I think they were accidentally left in there. And it's probably, I'm sorry, my eyes are super itchy. I have a really dry eye lately, in both eyes. But I'm fairly certain that they had probably gotten mold damage anyway, so it's probably just as well that I don't have them. But I was reminded because I said something about being persnickety about something, and somebody went off about, not went off, but somebody was like, oh, that's a great word. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember it from these books that I used to read when I was a kid. And so it started this whole thing, and then I had to go, like, I fell down the rabbit hole because I started trying to find out, can I get these books again? Because I had been so in love with the art. So, long story long, as as a couple of folks say, I found where I could purchase these books again. So I started with Spring into Serendipity. So this is not quite the first four books. It's like books 1 and 2, and then 5 and 6, I think. But it does have one of my favorites in here. So this is, I'll show them to you. So this is just a little cover that came with it. Stephen Cosgrove is actually still alive and well. He has his own website, stephencosgrove.com, where he sells some of the books. You can also, these are printed, I think, by, well, the publisher is Heritage Builders. That's who picked up the rights several years ago, I think in the early 2000s. But Book Pop, I think, may be the printer. So bookpop.com is a place where you can get these, stephencosgrove.com. There's a couple places where you can get it. Came with a poster. And so we have Sniffles, who is an ostrich, and we have Buttermilk, who is a cute little fluffy bunny, and we have Flutterby. This is one of my all-time favorites of the books. This one, Morgan and Me, which is about a unicorn and a princess, and pretty much all of the Morgan series, but any of the horses. I was just in love. So the artist who does these, and the last one is here. So this is book 5, I think, and then this is Leo the Lop, which was another one of my favorites, with his floppy ears. So the artist for these is Robin James. And like I said, the art was the real reason that I was so in love with these books. I remember when I was a kid, there was a little, I think it was called The Peddler. There was this little bookstore near where we lived, independent bookstore. And that was back before the days of Borders and Barnes and Noble and Books A Million and things like that. So we had this little independent bookseller, and like a reward that I would get if I had, and I forget what the benchmarks were, but when I was offered a reward, one of the rewards I could get was was to go and get a new serendipity book from the bookstore in our little town, or in our little town, but in town near the house, because at the time it was a much smaller town than it is today. So I remember going to this little bookstore and, looking at all the art. I remember my mom buying me a dinosaur book primarily because she was impressed. She's like, if you can actually remember and say the word Cretaceous, then you deserve to get this book. So she let me buy, she bought me a dinosaur book at one point. But I was obsessed with these serendipity books because the art was so beautiful. Now, of course, the art is fairly dated at this point. And I can definitely tell. I don't know if others can tell. I can tell that this is like 70s, 80s art. But and the books, these reprints aren't quite as nice as the originals. But you know what? To have that little bit of nostalgia, I'm okay with it. So we have Flutterby. I'm not going to show you everything because I think that's a copyright violation. Because I'm not supposed to share the books. But look at the art. How cute is that? So yeah, I was just so in love. So there are a couple of books that I haven't been able to track down as far as purchasing and things like that. There's Flutterby. But Flutterby with a little Pegasus. But yeah, oh, I know, sad Flutterby. Sad Flutterby. So I haven't actually found Serendipity, the book titled Serendipity. And Serendipity is actually, she is the sort of the mascot. So that's the little Serendipity Loch Ness monster. Doesn't want to focus. So I haven't found that book to repurchase yet, but oh, and I just noticed that there's a website for the artist. Did I say the artist name? Robin James. Robin James has her own website as well. I haven't checked that out yet. I'm gonna have to check that out. It's real. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't put on the light. How do I do that every time, y'all? I set up this light specifically because it makes everything a little bit better. It helps the camera focus, but I don't know, maybe it's my shirt that's throwing things off. I just felt like a tie-dye today. I felt like it was a tie-dye day. So yeah, that was my second piece of news for this week because I'm very, very excited to find these books. It's a huge piece of nostalgia from my past. There's very few things that I remember well from any point in my life. And I was discussing this with some folks, probably in one of Michelle's Twitch streams. I think Christine, you probably remember this conversation, but talking about how my memory is so patchy. And I can remember like impressions of time periods. Like I felt like this time period felt a certain way. I can remember snapshots, like images from specific periods in time, but I can't remember. Like a lot of people can remember, oh, well, on such and such a date, this thing happened, and this is exactly how it happened. And they can tell you the story as if they were watching it like a movie. For me, it's like this foggy Polaroid camera. So if I try really hard, I can get the camera to spit out a snapshot. And then the snapshot is kind of fuzzy and blurry around the edges. And sometimes the snapshots are super clear. Most of the time, they're pretty blurry. But I remember the Serendipity books, and I remember how much I loved them. And when I saw, like, just seeing images of them again gave me chills. And so I'm happy to have these books. They don't feel the same as the old books did. I would love to get copies of the original ones. Maybe not even first printing, but the original style, because they had a certain look to the cover. And I would love, love, love to have that again. But I don't know if I would love, love, love to have it again enough that I want to pay the kind of prices that folks want to charge. Because I found a couple of folks selling the older ones, and they want a little bit of money for them. But yeah, especially Morgan and Me was one of my absolute favorites. Serendipity was a really awesome one. There are a couple others too, but just the artwork is so awesome. So anyway. So that was a fantabulous thing that happened this week. And let's see, what else before I get into the stitching? So I've got stitching and knitting to show you today. I guess we'll do one more thing and then we'll get into the stitching. So the last interesting piece of news or fun thing that happened this week was I got tabs. I don't know how you can see it. I got tabs for my Mistitulous planner. So these are monthly tabs. And I've just got, I don't, yeah, there's nothing private in here. It's just, it's all my stitchy stuff. So I've got monthly tabs to separate out the sections for each month. And I also have these extra little tabbies that I've got for different sections. So this tab will actually move every week so that I can flip directly to the page that I need. And then for the project section, I have a smaller tab that I don't know if you'll actually be able to see. So I guess I'll have to hold it up. Okay. So for the project section, I have this little bitty tab that says January. So what I'm going to do with the project section is I'm going to put one of these on the page that starts a new month of new start. So basically every new start I have, I'm putting in as a project in this section. Eventually I'll be putting printed out pictures of the chart because most of the time I don't have paper charts. So I'll print out a picture of what the finish looks like and I'll paste it there. And then as we go into a new month, when I have new starts in February, I'll put a little February tab on that first page. And then as I'm going through at the end of the year, I'll be able to see very quickly, you know, which things I started in which months, and that'll be awesome. So, so yeah, that was very, very exciting. Let me go back to, because these are my notes for what to talk about today. And the other fun thing is, so these are the actual tabs. Okay, I have them upside down. These are the actual tabs that I purchased. I got these off of Amazon. I knew it came with multiple sets. I didn't realize how many multiple sets. So when I purchased it, I thought it came with a few sets of the calendars, but I thought it also came with other planner stickers. And then when it showed up, it was a bunch of sets of these and no other planner stickers. So I guess I misread the description, because I went back and checked just to double check, just to make sure that I was not misremembering. So yeah, it was just a bunch of copies of these, and these are fantastic, but I don't need that many copies of these calendars. So what I thought I would do is, if anybody else is interested in having these tabbies, then I would be happy to share them to you. I will mail them to you anywhere in the world, as long, because these will fit into a regular size envelope, so I should be able to just use stamps. So I would love to share these with you if you need tabs for this journal or any other kind of journal, or planner or whatever. These are super, super fun. Let me hold them up closer to the camera. So the nice thing about these is that, I'm going to try not to actually take it off of the thing, but this part is actually a tab, if you can see. So this creates the tab on the outside of the page, and then this full calendar sits on the page itself. So you have that nice little tab that sticks out. And then there's an extra corresponding, this is just that little page tab. So you get one of each of those for each month of the year. And then there's this great big sticker for the entire year. And these are sort of a laminated. These are nice and thick, and the tab that it makes on the outside of the page is really sturdy. So if you would like a set of these, I have 6 sets available. If you would like a set of these, just say something about tabs, T-A-B-S. Say something about tabs in the comments, and I will pick 6 people and I will mail these out to you. If there are only 6 people, you'll each get a set. But yeah, so if you have been looking for a tab solution to your Misticulous planner, if you've been looking for a tab solution and haven't found one, I found this to be fantastic. I would love to share these with you. If you just want tabs to use in something, please, please, please. They were not expensive, but I will not use them, and I would rather you all, some of you have them and use them than them sit here and not be used. These are obviously not going to be good after this year. So please, 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 just say tabs. I'll pick 6 people and I'll mail them to you. Oh, the only other things. I forget that there should be caveats. Just in case, please be 18 or over. Folks who are under 18 shouldn't really be watching my channel anyway. Please be 18 or over. Please make sure you have put your name and address in the Happy Mail form, which should be linked below. That way I'll have your address to send it to you. And also please know that these are going to be sent via regular first class mail with stamps. I won't have any tracking. So if it doesn't get to you, I won't be able to replace it. Just FYI. Okay, I think we're good on that. Let's talk about stitching. So I did my very first live on Twitch on Saturday, and I started working on one of my Whip Go goals, which is Macintosh Rose. So this is a peppermint purple. I believe this is still available on the Lakeside Needlecraft, yes, Lakeside Needlecraft website as a free chart. It was originally released as a stitch along, so it was in 6 parts, but you can now purchase this chart on your own. Or not purchase, you can download it for free. And the pieces that I finished, I actually filled in the leaves here, and I filled in this last row. So now I've done all of the regular cross stitches, and all I have to do is the black work background, which is going to be some work. Not even gonna lie, it's gonna be a lot of work. But I finished all the rest of that on Twitch streams. I was kind of not. The leaves didn't turn out quite like I expected. Um, so the variegated floss I had was green and gold and with some white, and it really kind of looks like fried eggs. So Rachel and I were joking about hashtag fried egg leaves. But you know what? I'm not willing to go back and frog it out and restitch it. So that's what we have. It is what it is. It's interesting, that's for certain. I don't know if I love it 100%, but you know, it's on there. It's on there, and that's what we're going with. So I did get all of the cross stitches finished on this. Now I just have to do the block work. So my goal for this piece for WhipGo is to finish it. Now, if I don't finish it during this month, that's fine. I have the whole year to complete that, but I would like to get started on the black work before the end of the month. We'll see. We'll see. I am going to continue on with this rainbow thread, and I think all the threads I'm using on this piece are from an Etsy shop called Yarn Player, who does fantastic hand-dyed threads for like embroidery threads, 6-stranded embroidery thread, but also pearl threads for doing tatting and things like that. So I did that. I worked on that Saturday and Sunday. And then on Sunday's stream, I also worked on my Trans Pride tapestry, and it is coming along quite well. So this is Trinkets. Trinkets is my Trans Pride unicorn. The chart is actually called Trans Pride Tapestry. It's from Dee's 20 Stitches. The artwork, original artwork, is by Kari Nakin of Uncanny Kari. So Dee took Kari's artwork, with permission obviously, and converted it into a cross-stitch chart, and it is fabulous, super fabulous. And I also have the corresponding needle minder from Dee and Kari, which says, "A luxury few can afford." So fantastic. So when you last saw this, probably in the Whip Parade, I think I had the outline of this flower, so I think all of this outline is what you've seen, but I completely filled in this flower, which looks fabulous in my opinion. I love the way Ymir silks are looking on that. So the fabric is 32 count dyed linen from Kathy Davidson at Dyeing for Cross Stitch. The flosses I'm using, the threads I'm using, are silks from Ymir at Almond M&M's, and I'm using a conversion that was originally picked out by Kim at Crafty Teacher DIYs. I every time I talk about it, I thank Kim for sharing her for sharing her conversion, because yeah, it's fabulous. The colors are so perfect, and I love the way that this is looking. Every time I put this down, I just want to pick it right back up because it's so good. Even though stitching on this fabric has been really, really difficult. So I think it's a combination of the fact that it's, I think this is dyed differently than the ice dye I've had from Kathy. So the threads are much tighter together, the holes are much smaller, but that combined with the dark fabric is making it really difficult for me to stitch on. But even so, I love stitching this. I love it. Love it, love it. So I worked on that a bit. And then, let's see. Most of my lunchtime streams this week were spent working on pinions, so I'll show you pinions after a minute. But I also started, actually, The next piece I worked on, I can't show you because it's a model stitch, but I finally got the yen to work on the model stitch again, which is really awesome. I'm super jazzed about it and very excited to get back to it. I didn't get a chance to stitch on it again yesterday, but I plan on stitching on it more this weekend, because I'm just like, I'm super into it right now. I just really want to get back to it. So it is, it's currently being salved. It's currently in a stitch along with Tempting Tangles. It's a Tempting Tangles design that is currently being run as a stitch along, but I'm stitching the model that will go on the chart ultimately, and it looks so good. It's so good. So yeah, I think, speaking of Tempting Tangles and models that I have done before, I think, fingers crossed, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that the two models that I have already stitched for Deborah at Tempting Tangles, I think those two models, the charts for those two models go on sale probably at Nashville market time, so March. I'm hoping that that's the case. I cannot wait for you all to see I haven't even seen a picture of my model stitch, other than the ones that I've taken. I haven't seen the official finished picture, so I'm very excited for those to be released, and I can't wait to get those up in the shop. Those two charts will be Enjoy the Sunshine, which was fabulous. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. And the other piece is called Sempre Evante. I think I'm not good with the rolling the R's, and it's an Italian, or I believe it's an Italian phrase. Both pieces were fabulous to stitch. I love Deborah's design work. Sempre was a little bit more difficult to stitch just because I'm not a huge fan of trains. But the train is awesome. The whole thing is awesome. But yeah, those two, I think those two charts are coming out in March, and I'm very excited. They'll be my first official, like, named named model stitches that will be out in the world, and I'm very, very excited about that. So, and super excited to be working on another piece. And cat butt. So yeah, that's, hey, no, sir, we don't stand on the cross stitch. No, sir. What are you doing? Lately, they have really just been, I don't even know what the word is, getting on my nerves, mostly. No, you can't have this either. No, sir. No. What do you want? I gave them treats before I started filming so that they would leave me alone, and they still won't leave me alone. And see, they do this. They get into things when they want my attention. And Loki specifically has been known to lay on my knitting. What are you doing? Get off of my stuff. Get off of my stuff. Sir. Sir. Okay, let me put these away. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get out of my yarn. Sir. Sir. Get down. Come on. You're being a pill. Stop it. If you will just lay and settle, then we can all be fine. Let's just lay down. I would pause and come back, but the last time I paused, it caused a horrible noise issue, and I don't want to go through all that. Don't mess with my books, sir. Mr. Loki. Can you just not? Don't knock things over. Oh my gosh, y'all. He is a special kind of something today. Okay, are we settled? Are we settled? Okay. Please don't knock the stuff over, please. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay. Because he's laid down and now he's spreading out and he's like shoving things. Why do you want attention when I'm on camera? Please don't knock things over. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway, I've been very excited to work on my model stitch. I'm very excited for you all to see the model stitches I've done. Looking forward to working on more model stitches in the future, not just from Tempting Tangles, but I know at some point I want to do a model stitch for Michelle for Bendy Stitchy Designs, and that's just a matter of me and her deciding when to do that. I haven't messaged her about doing one yet because I've been tied up with other model stitches. So once I am no longer tied up, or once I feel like I have capacity, I'm going to do that because I really, really want to do one for Michelle as well. So now we have 2 cats. So today is a cat day, apparently. But see, Momo was being very well behaved. She just came over and laid down, and it was all good. Yes, you do, little sweetheart. Yes, you are. So these are my 2 house panthers. Anyway, okay, moving on. So the other bit of stitching I did this week was a new start. So I meant to say that. So I had 2 whips to show you and a new start. Heike convinced me, and Rachel both, I think, to jump in on dark 13 stitching this year. So I never have joined in on dark 13 stitching. I think I only became aware of it as a concept last year. But Heike decided she wanted an excuse to start something. What are you doing? Now you being a pill. I forget what piece she wanted to start. I know she told me and I've forgotten. But regardless, the whole point of dark 13 stitching, or at least as I understand it, is on the 13th, and if there is a 31st, on the 31st of the month, you stitch on a Halloween creepy spooky thing. And the whole shebang was started by Kansas City girl in a Colorado world and some of her friends. They started this idea of doing Halloweeny stuff all year long, and you can start a new thing on the 13th or continue stitching a spooky thing on the 13th and the 31st. I decided to do a new thing because I don't actually have a spooky thing in the works. I don't think. But I have been looking for an excuse to finally get started on creepy cryptids from the Witchy Stitcher. So I did dark 13. I did a dark 13 new start yesterday, and I started Mothman from the Witchy Stitcher. And I'm gonna show it to you, but I'm gonna warn you. I didn't intend it to do this, but what I have stitched so far, because I haven't stitched very much, what I have stitched so far looks a little rude. So just FYI. I'm gonna hold it up for you. If you don't see it, that's totally fine. I can't unsee it, and I need to get some black stitching on here so it stops looking this way. But here's what I have so far. That's Mothman. I don't see Mothman yet. You might see Mothman, hopefully. But yeah, that's what we have so far. It's only about, I don't know, 40 stitches, 50 stitches, something like that. I started this during my lunchtime stream yesterday, and I had a lot of things working against me. Not the least of which is that because I hate myself, which is how I keep saying it, because I hate myself, I chose a 40 count fabric. So I'm stitching from stash for the most part, at least for my fabric, and now both cats are gone. Isn't that the way? They got to interrupt everything and then disappear. So the flosses I purchased last year when the stitch along was announced. I just hadn't started it. So I have all but one color, I think. I have to go find some for 14, I think. But I had all the colors to hand already because I'd already kitted up that part. I just hadn't picked fabric. So I picked fabric from stash. I had a 32 count Lugana in this same color, Country Mocha, but the Lugana, because it dyes differently, wasn't quite the colorway I wanted. This came out, this is Country Mocha as well, but it's a 40 count Newcastle from Zweigart. And it had the more parchmenty, papery look that I was going for. So because that's what I had on hand, that's what I did. Yeah. We'll see how much it's actually, honestly, this has been easier so far to stitch than my Transpride tapestry. And I think it's because it's a lighter fabric. So even though it's a lighter colored fabric, so even though the holes are actually smaller technically, this has been less difficult to stitch on than transpride tapestry for whatever reason. And the other thing I'm doing, you'll notice this is not nearly big enough for all of the creepy cryptids. There are 16 in total, 3 of which have yet to be released. And I'm not stitching them all on the same fabric because my plan is to fully finish all of the cryptids into a book. So it's going to be a little cross-stitchy book situation. So I'm going to do each one on a separate page, and then I'm going to sew them all together or finish them all together somehow. I don't have the details of that yet. I have the idea of how I want it to be, and I'll figure it out later. But the first part that has to be done before anything else can be done is to actually stitch the different cryptids. So this is Mothman. My plan and my hope was to actually finish Mothman all in one day. Obviously that did not happen. I ended up doing other things. Like, I don't know where my time goes, y'all. I really don't. So I got like 20 some stitches stitched during the Twitch stream, which I think was pretty impressive considering that I was holding it in hand trying to stitch with it under a camera while also trying to keep up with chat. So 20 stitches is pretty good, I think, on 40 count. And then I intended to go back to it after work, and then, but at that point my tabs had come in for my planner, and so I was messing with the planner, and I was trying to watch this show that was like really visually intense, so I had to like watch the show, and before I knew it, Adam was coming home and it was time for dinner, and it was just didn't happen. So I'm hoping to finish this in the next couple of days. I would like to, what I hope is that, because I'm going to continue doing this for Dark 13 stitching. So January has the 31st, so I'm hoping that I will finish this before the 31st, so that on the 31st I can start the next one. That's the hope. Because if I do that, then I will have all of these finished before the end of the year. Certainly by the end of the year, but probably before the end of the year. Because there are enough days or enough months with 31 days that there's more than 16 opportunities. So it would be awesome if I finished these by the end of October. That would be kind of awesome. So anyway, so that was my new start. That's where I am. And hopefully I don't get some kind of strike from YouTube. It doesn't look super obvious, but I don't know. It looks like it to me. So we'll see. We'll see. So one last thing. Yeah, I think we've got one last thing. Excuse me. My nose is like, I'm super congested. Oh, so there's going to be another snowstorm this weekend. Which doesn't mean that much for me, honestly, because again, I don't go out much. I do have to go out today because I need to make sure that I get some milk before everybody else goes wild and buys all of the milk and bread. We have bread, but I need milk. Just because I need milk, not because it's going to snow. It just so happens that the two are corresponding. But I need to make sure I get some milk because I can't have cereal or other things if I have no milk during a snowstorm. So yeah, I need to go out today. But I didn't have specific plans to go out on Sunday or Monday anyway because I just don't. Pardon. Goodness. And now the congestion is making me cough. I promise I'm fine. I have not been in contact with pretty much anyone other than Adam. So, for at least a week. So, yeah, I just suddenly got really, suddenly had an itch in my throat. So, Monday also is a holiday for me, so not only was I not planning on going anywhere, but I don't have to work either. So, so I plan on doing a lunchtime Twitch on Monday, but it'll be a long lunch because I'm not limited to my 1 hour because I don't have to work. So, so I hope y'all will join me on Monday for a Twitchy stream. And yeah, so let me show you my knitting. I got totally derailed. It happens. It happens. Okay. So I'm still working on pinions. This is my knitting project of choice currently. Let me just get it unwound here. I have finished pinion 10, have started pinion 11, and again, this is out of 20, so that's actually looking really good. Look at that. Look at that. So Rachel's finished hers, and she blocked hers, and she's sewn it together into its final shape. She sent me a picture of her modeling it earlier. I'm sure she'll talk about it on her next floss tube. So no spoilers, but it looks really good. Hers looks really good. And I was like, I don't know if mine's gonna come out to be as generous looking on me as hers is on her. But now that I'm holding it, I mean, it's as wide as my body. So I don't know. I guess once I block it out, I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I think she's probably right. When I block it out, it'll be fine. So I don't know. Okay, y'all. I'm far too amused by myself. So anyway, I can't remember where it was when we last talked. It's probably somewhere down here in this area. I did skip a section. I skipped section 8 because it was another round of, where is it? Garter stitch, like this section. And I'm not a huge fan of stitching garter stitch. So I skipped the second round of garter stitch, which after having done it, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have skipped it, because I think it would have lent some difference in texture between this pink section here and the ripple section here. But even so, I like the way it's turned out. It looks really cool. I am concerned that I'm gonna run out of my leftover yarns, so I may well have to add in another mini from something else. But I do have some just sort of extraneous minis, so I can do that. It just won't. It possibly won't work into the colorways that I already have. We'll just have to see. Just have to see. But it's looking good. I like the way it's looking. I really love this section. This sort of ripple section. It looks really cool. And then I like this section too. I enjoyed stitching this section, but I don't know that it really, like visually, it doesn't look like much of anything, but I like it. And now I have just entered, pinion 11 is a lot of ribbing. It's going to create like pillars of ribbing. So I think it'll look fantastic, but it's less fun for me to knit just because I don't like doing purl knit, purl knit, purl knit kind of. At least it's not a 1x1. A 1x1 rib is really annoying. And it's not that annoying, but it is going back and forth between purls and knits. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I've only got the first 2 rows of that part in here, so you really can't see it yet. And I think there's like 9 repeats, so I have a ways to go. But yeah, so here we are at, I am knitting pinion 11, but I only have 10 actual sections here. And the way I'm doing mine is different than how a lot of folks are doing theirs. So it's designed so that each knitting section, each pinion is a separate color, but I'm not actually breaking my colors at the end of a section. I'm just continuing through. So if I have more than I need of a color, I just continue until I'm out of that color. If I have less of a color, I start the next color as soon as I run out. So mine is very, very much more just one color into the next color into the next color without breaking the colors at specific sections. So it won't look the same as other people's because of how I'm doing that, but that's fine. I'm good with it. My main aim was just to do something fun with the leftover yarn that I had from Secret Life of Cats and Dogs, and so far I'm really enjoying it. And especially now that I've gotten into like the purple blue section, that's my favorite. There's a lot of pink. Lots and lots of pink from that set, but now we're into the really fun section. So we're going to do some purples and blues and greens, and there's a beautiful teal, and then it'll work into some like orangey yellows and that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun. And if I have to, I've got some extra minis that I can work in on that end piece, and then yeah, then we'll see. So I don't know how long it might take me. I'm not terribly worried about it, but especially because with my knitting, I just kind of, my knitting is what I do when I want to do something crafty and I don't want to get out of my chair. So I don't generally have specific deadlines, especially now that the shawlography from Stephen West is like way past its finish date. I feel no pressure to finish anything on any particular time. And it's hilarious because Sharon even is talking about, because this was meant to be a December knit along. But Sharon kept saying, well, you'll have all 20 opinions at least by December 40th. Which is kind of how it worked out. But so yeah, I am in no rush. I will get this finished when I get it finished. I'm just enjoying the process. So, okay, folks, I think that's all the crafty things I have for you this week. I know I've talked a lot about Twitch, but it's been very, very exciting. So I'm really, really enjoying hanging out on Twitch. So if you would enjoy hanging out on Twitch, it's basically, for if you have not been on Twitch, it's very, very similar to YouTube Live, but there's a lot more freedom to do other things that YouTube doesn't necessarily let you do. And on the back end, the technical side of things, it's just a lot easier to set up, and there's a lot more fun widgets and bells and whistles that you can add in. So don't be afraid. And you don't have to download anything if you don't want to. You can get an app for your phone. You don't have to. You can just go to twitch.com and you can create an account and you can join in on people's Twitch streams whenever you want to, and it's no pressure. So yeah, so don't feel like it's big and scary. I stayed off of it for a long time because I didn't get it. But now that I've been on it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. So yeah. Also, no hard feelings if you don't want to go to Twitch. That's totally fine. I will say, though, that I'm probably not going to be doing any lives on YouTube anytime soon. Just FYI. Just because it's more difficult. It's more stress. And I don't have a lot of room in my life for things that add a lot of difficulty or a lot of extra things that I have to do. Twitch is really nice because I have all my cameras and everything set up now. So really, if I want to go live on Twitch, all I have to do is open up the program and tell it to go live. And we're there. And then I just need to move my cameras where they need to be. And it's fantastic and I love it. So anyway, if you want to chat with me live, you'll have to do it on Twitch. But otherwise, no hard feelings if you don't want to do that. It's totally fine. So yeah, okay. I think I'm done talking about Twitch. I might be, at least for this video. Trying to think of other things that are coming up. Oh, February is coming up very, very soon. So we're halfway through January, or at least we will be officially tomorrow. So next week, I'll try to have my bird boards ready for next week so that I can talk about them, so they can tell you. Because I know some people are curious about the bird board and what's going to be on it and how it's going to work and whatever. Nobody else has to do a bird board. It's mostly for me, but if you want to do your own bird board, feel free. I'm doing it basically in just like an extra WhipGo board, but yeah, you'll see next week. I'll figure out the details. I'll talk about it next week. I'll talk about how I'm going to do February. But for you, hashtag February, the only thing you really need to know is that in February, we do birds. We stitch birds in February, and we call it February, hashtag February. So if you have a project already on the go that has birds in it, if you want to start a new project that has birds in it, if you want to specifically stitch a bird during February, all of that falls into February. And I would love for you to join me, share your pictures on social media using the hashtag, and yeah, it's fun. I've discovered that folks who are generally not into birds are actually getting excited about stitching birds, and that's really fun for me. So I know lots of folks are getting hyped for it. I'm getting hyped for it. So yeah, let's get hyped. So definitely either next week or let's see, do we have another Friday? And that's still in January. Yeah, we've got 2 more Fridays in January. So one of the next 2 weeks I will talk about bird board, and we'll talk more about February, which I can't even say correctly. Of course, I'd come up with a hashtag that's hard to say and hard to spell, because of course. Anyway, in the meantime, I hope that you are having the best day, week, weekend that is available to you. If the weather is bad where you are, then please stay safe. As much as possible, stay home. If you have to go out, make sure that you're taking all the safety precautions, because none of us wants to be sick. None of us. Do the best you can to keep yourself safe and your family safe. And as always, remember to stay hydrated. Remember to take your meds, all the meds that you need to take, and remember that you are enough. And I will see you all again next time. Bye.